So hello students, we were discussing the plant kingdom chapter. So in that the last division, that is angiosperms, in today's class we are going to discuss about that. The angiosperm is the biological word and the common word for that is flowering plants. Okay. The plants which bears the flowers in their life cycle are called as angiosperms. Okay, and only these angiosperms are capable to bear the flowers as well as the fruits. And these angiosperms are an exceptionally large group of plants. Among the 5 divisions from algae to angiosperm, the angiosperm group is exceptionally large. That means the number of species, the type of species and the diversity in the plant is it is more in case of angiosperm division. The range in size from tiny, almost microscopic. Okay. There are some tiny microscopic but not unicellular. Okay, don't confuse that microscopic with unicellular. The angiosperm which is microscopic, its name is Wolffia. Okay, W-O-L-F-I-A. Wolffia is a microscopic angiosperm which bears minute flowers, as well as a tall angiosperm called as eucalyptus which can grow up to 100 meters. Okay. Eucalyptus is a tallest angiosperm but not a tallest plant. Remember, the tallest plant in the plant kingdom, it was a gymnosperm. Yavudaದ್ರ ಹೆಸರೇನು ಹೇಳಿ? Sequoia. Okay, or sequoia, a giant redwood tree, that is tallest tree in the plant kingdom, but this eucalyptus is tallest angiosperm. Okay. In angiosperm, the pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structures called as flowers. So the word flower we start hearing from this segment, that is angiosperm. The flower itself is the reproductive part in angiosperm, okay, where we can observe pollen grain as well as the ovule. What are these two? Pollen grain, male part, ovule, female part. Okay, and we are not going to observe like microspore, megaspore and all. Ovule and pollen grain only. In angiosperm, the seeds are enclosed within the fruit, while in case of gymnosperm, the seeds were naked. Why? Because the ovary was completely absent in a gymnosperm. In this angiosperm, the ovary is present, that's why the seeds are enclosed by the ovary wall. Angiosperms are divided into 2 classes. So we are studying classification of angiosperm. Very few points we are going to observe. 2 classes. The first class name is dicotyledon and the second class name is called as monocotyledon. Okay. What is the basis for classification of this angiosperm? In the name only we can observe dicotyledon. Di means 2. Cotyledons, the segment of the seed. Okay. 2 cotyledons are present in the seed. Monocotyledon, mono means single, cotyledon a seed segment. Okay, only one cotyledon is present in the seed. In the diagram you can observe, this is the seed of monocot. Okay, only one cotyledon is present. This is a dicot seed, 2 cotyledons are present. Okay, best example for monocot seed is maize seed, jowar, rice, wheat. Okay, like that. In a dicot seed, we are going to observe 2 cotyledons. That means easily we can break that dicot seed into 2 equal wholes, like green gram, Bengal gram, okay, groundnut. Those are mango seed. Those are all dicot seed. Okay. In dicots, what are the major characters we are going to observe? They have 2 cotyledons, as we already seen in the picture. In their seed, a taproot system is present, reticulate venation in leaves, a tetramerous or pentamerous condition. How they are? See, in monocot plant, the root system is fibrous. What is fibrous root system? That means it is not having a taproot like a dicot. That means the primary root is not persistent throughout the life. This primary root has been replaced by a small roots called as fibrous roots in case of monocot. Like that in case of dicot, the root is called as taproot. What it means? The primary, the thicker, the bigger root is present throughout the lifespan of the plant. Understood? In case of dicot, it is taproot. In case of monocot, it is fibrous roots. Like that, if you observe the presence of vascular bundles, what are vascular bundles? Xylem and phloem, the water conducting tissue and the food conducting tissue. Okay, in monocot, if we take a transverse section through root stem like that, the vascular bundles are scattered here and there, they are not arranged in any systematic manner. But in case of dicot, they are arranged in a systematic manner like ringed structure. Okay, xylem and phloem are present in a ring-like structure. The difference you can easily pick out. Okay, you can easily observe. Another important difference between monocot and dicot is, in case of monocot leaf, the venation, the leaf venation is parallel. Okay, what is parallel venation? The veins, that is the xylem and phloem, are present parallel to each other. They have not overlapped on one another. Okay, they are present parallel. But in case of the dicot leaf, the veins are net-like or network-like. That means in a zigzag manner. We call such type of venation as a reticulate venation. Understood? If you observe the flower, in case of monocot, the flower parts are multiples of 3 or multiples of 3. That means 3, 6, 9, like that. What is that? These colored parts, pink colored parts, are called as the petals of the flower. Okay, petals. These petals are present 3 in number. Like that, these green parts are called as the sepals. These sepals are also present 3 in number, or else they may be present multiple of that. Like that, in case of dicot, the petals or the sepals are 4 or 5. Okay, see, you can observe, you can count the number of petals. Here it is 5 in number. That's why it is called as pentamerous. Okay, this one is called as trimerous. Tri means 3. Okay, in case of monocot, we are observing trimerous flower, while in case of dicot, we are observing tetramerous flowers or pentamerous flowers. Understood? Next one, the reproduction in case of the angiosperm. How these angiosperms are going to reproduce? As we already know, the flower is the reproductive structure. Remember it. Okay, the flower, whatever we are calling, it is nothing but a modified shoot for the purpose of reproduction. Okay, the flower is modified in such a way that it is possessing both male and female structures which are going to involve in the sexual reproduction. The male sex organ in case of flower is called as stamen. Okay, stamen is male sex organ in case of flower. Each stamen consists of a slender filament with an anther at the tip. We can observe that in the diagram in the next slide. Within the anthers, the pollen mother cells divide by meiosis to produce microspores which matures into pollen grains. Okay, pollen grains are produced within the anthers of the stamen. Like that, the female sex organ in flower is called as pistil, or else it is also having another name called as carpel. Pistil or carpel, both are same. Okay, which is a female reproductive part of flower. Pistil consists of an ovary at its base, a long slender style, as well as a stigma. In the picture we can observe, this is the cross section of a flower. Okay, when we take cross section of a flower, a complete flower is always having 4 different structures, or else we can say 4 different whorls. Okay, which are those? The first outermost whorl is called as calyx, which is consisting of the sepals. Okay, which is photosynthetic majority of the time. The second outermost second whorl is called as the corolla, which is consisting of the petal, the colorful part of the flower. It is called as petal. Okay, now we come into the reproductive structure of the flower. The androecium and the gynoecium. Androecium is nothing but the male reproductive part. Gynoecium is nothing but the female reproductive part. So the androecium are consisting one or many stamens. Okay, gynoecium are consisting one or many pistils. The stamen is consisting anther at the tip, a long slender filament, and a connective at the base. Like that, a pistil or a carpel is consisting a opening at the tip called as stigma, a hollow or solid tube-like structure called as a style, and a basal bulged portion called as a ovary. Understood? This ovary is possessing the ovules. This anther is possessing the pollen grains. Understood? If a flower is bisexual, that means if it is possessing both male and female reproductive structure, it is possessing pollen grains in the anther, ovules in the ovary. Okay. Inside the ovary, ovules are present, as we already know. Okay. And within the ovules, there are highly reduced female gametophyte embryo sac is present. So that you have to mug up this word, embryo sac. Okay, embryo sac is a female gametophyte in case of angiosperm, while in case of gymnosperm the entire ovule was called as the female gametophyte of gymnosperm. Okay, in case of angiosperm the female gametophyte is called as embryo sac, which is present within the ovule. Each ovule has a megaspore mother cell that undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspores. Out of those 4, 3 will be degenerate, only 1 will be functional. That functional megaspore is going to form a embryo sac, like in case of gymnosperm. In gymnosperm also there were 4 megaspores. Out of those 4, 3 will be degenerate, only 1 is functional. Like that in angiosperm also 4 megaspores are produced, but 3 will be degenerate, only 1 will be functional. That functional megaspore is going to form the embryo sac. Understood? And we are observing the structure of the ovule. This is the structure of ovule, how it actually looks. And we are mainly concentrating on the inner structure of that, which is called as the embryo sac. So this is the embryo sac, which is having the egg cell in it. The embryo sac is surrounded by nucleus, which is diploid, and the inner and outer integuments are the wall of ovule. The funicle is a point of attachment of the ovule with the base of ovary. Micropyle is a small aperture for the entry of the pollen tube during the fertilization process. When we enlarge this embryo sac, we are going to observe this type of the structure. Okay, when we enlarge the embryo sac, this looks like this. Each embryo sac is having total 8 cells. 3 antipodal cells at the top of the embryo sac, which are haploid. 2 polar nuclei at the center, they are also haploid. And at the base, 2 synergids are present, and above that 1 egg cell is present. See, look at the structure. We are getting the egg cell on the above surface of both synergids. Okay, total 8 cells are present. But this central cell, whatever we are calling, which is possessing 2 nuclei, those nuclei are called as polar nuclei. Prior to fertilization, those polar nuclei eventually they will get fused and form a single cell. That's why it becomes total 7-celled 8 nuclei embryo sac. Understood? Total 8 nucleus and 7-celled. And pollen grains dispersed from anthers are carried by wind or other agencies to the stigma of pistil. It is called as pollination. Pollination, we already know that, but as and when the pollen grain enter through micropyle or through integument or through chalaza, they can be entered at any part of the ovule. Okay, so as and when they enter the embryo sac, what will happen? The pollen grain is commonly carrying 2 male nucleus. Okay, 1 male nucleus will fuses with the egg cell. Remaining male nucleus is going to fuse with the central cell. Before the fertilization, these 2 polar nuclei, they will be fused and they become diploid, so that another male nuclei, haploid male nuclei fuses with the central cell, so that it becomes a triploid structure. Triploid. Okay. And after that fertilization, the zygote formed at this position is going to develop into a zygote. That zygote eventually form a embryo. The another male nuclei which is fuses with which has fused with the central cell, it is going to form the primary endosperm nucleus. Here it is. The other male gamete fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus to produce triploid. primary endosperm nucleus. So the function of that primary endosperm nucleus is to nourish the developing embryo. Okay, due to two fertilization occurring in the embryo sac. There are two fertilizations, isn't it? One is the fertilization of the egg, another one is fertilization of this central cell. That process we call it as double fertilization. One fertilization here, another fertilization here. Okay, that process is called as double fertilization. And this single process we call it as a triploid fusion, because two haploid here, one male nuclei, total 3, that's why it is called as triploid, and fusion of egg and male nuclei is called as syngamy. So syngamy plus triploid fusion is called as the double fertilization. And that double fertilization event is an unique character of angiosperm. That means we are not observing that double fertilization process in any group of the plants. Okay, so this is about the angiosperm characters. After that, after double fertilization, the synergid and antipodals degenerate. Okay, and during these events the ovules develop into seed and the ovary is going to develop into a fruit. That's why the seeds are enclosed within the fruit and these seeds are enclosed by the fruit. That's why we can't observe any naked seeds in the angiosperms. Okay, and this is the life cycle of the angiosperm. You can observe a mature sporophyte is present which is dominant, where we can observe male and female structures, and here it is my anther where we can observe microsporangium. Microspores are produced so that male gametes are produced. Like that, female part which is called as gynoecium. Okay, egg cell is produced. When pollination fertilization occurs, zygote is going to form. Zygote is going to produce the embryo. That embryo is going to develop into a new sporophyte. Understood? And this is the overall of the plant kingdom, how we have classified the plants. Like the kingdom plant is divided into algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm and angiosperm and their respective classes with examples. See, you have to find out what are the major differences between the divisions so that you can understand that. Algae, it's very simple form, the body is thalloid, isn't it? Majority of the algae are microscopic and aquatic. Bryophytes, majority are multicellular. Okay, again they are thalloid, that means no true root stem is present. But from pteridophytes, true root stem and leaves are present. Vascular bundles like xylem and phloem are present, but seeds are not present. Okay, but in the gymnosperm all are present but fruit is not present. Seed is also present but flower and fruit is not present. But as and when we move into angiosperms, it is having all the required structures from root, stem, leaf, xylem and phloem, okay, as well as seeds as well as the fruits. Okay, this is about the angiosperms and remaining things we will discussing in next class.